It was supposed to be an ordinary camping adventure, two best friends exploring the beauty of the Arizona wild. But somewhere in the vast expanse of the Tonto National Forest, their story took a terrifying turn and ended in a way no one could have imagined. The disappearance began like so many others, quiet, confusing, and filled with hope that it was all just a misunderstanding. On the morning of May 25, 2025, two teenagers aged just 17 and 18 loaded their pickup truck with camping gear, food, sleeping bags, and their phones. They were inseparable friends, known for their love of hiking and photography. They told their families they'd be back in 2 days. The plan was simple: spend the weekend under the stars, take some photos of the forest, and be home by Sunday night. But when Sunday came and went with no word from either of them, unease set in. Calls went unanswered. Messages were left on read. By Monday morning, both families reported them missing, triggering a massive search effort through the rugged, pine-covered terrain east of Phoenix. For 2 days, volunteers, sheriff's deputies, drones, and search dogs scoured miles of forest trails, canyons, and dry creek beds. Helicopters circled overhead as friends posted missing person flyers across town. Everyone hoped they were simply lost or had wandered off the trail, that maybe their phones had died and they were waiting to be found. But on May 27th, hope turned to heartbreak. Search teams discovered a small campsite deep within the forest. The teens' tent was collapsed, their backpacks and supplies scattered. Nearby, rescuers made the grim discovery: both teens were found dead, lying just a few feet from their extinguished campfire. Their vehicle was later found parked not far from the site, keys still in the ignition. At first, investigators thought it might have been a wildlife attack or a tragic accident. But as they examined the scene, it became clear that something far darker had occurred. Shell casings, disturbed soil, and traces of a violent struggle painted a chilling picture. This wasn't nature's doing, it was murder. The Gila County Sheriff's Office immediately launched a full-scale homicide investigation. Detectives sealed off the area and began collecting evidence from every inch of the campsite. Forensic experts worked meticulously, analyzing footprints, tire tracks, and DNA samples. The once lively forest, filled with laughter and adventure just days earlier, had turned into a haunting crime scene. Days turned into weeks, and frustration mounted as the case went cold. Then, a critical piece of evidence surfaced: a DNA sample recovered from one of the victim's personal items. When the results came back from the lab, investigators had their first solid lead: a match to a 31-year-old man named Thomas Brown, who lived less than 30 miles from the campsite. Brown was a construction worker with a spotty employment record and a prior history of trespassing and assault. Locals described him as quiet but strange, someone who spent long periods alone in the woods, often talking about escaping society. Detectives quickly obtained a warrant and arrested Brown at his small rental home on June 3, 2025. According to the police report, Brown didn't resist. He appeared eerily calm, almost detached, as officers handcuffed him and led him to the patrol car. Inside his home, investigators found chilling evidence: a handgun matching the shell casings from the crime scene, camping equipment similar to what the victims used, and a notebook filled with cryptic writings about solitude, purity of silence, and erasing fear. When questioned, Brown initially denied knowing the victims or being anywhere near their campsite. But when confronted with the DNA match, his story shifted. He claimed he had crossed paths with them near a trailhead and stopped to chat. Later, he said things got out of hand. But forensic evidence suggested something far more sinister: that the victims had been ambushed while sitting by their campfire, giving them no chance to defend themselves. The arrest sent shockwaves through the small Arizona community. The victims weren't just names in a headline, they were local kids, bright and full of promise. Friends described them as kind, adventurous, and inseparable. One was planning to start college in the fall, the other dreamed of becoming a park ranger. Vigils were held in their memory. Hundreds gathered at the town square, candles flickering against the night sky. Their classmates spoke through tears, remembering shared jokes, camping trips, and dreams that would never be realized. Meanwhile, prosecutors worked swiftly. Thomas Brown was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and unlawful possession of a firearm. During preliminary hearings, investigators shared disturbing findings. Brown had been camping in the same area just days before the killings. Another group of hikers had reported seeing him alone, carrying a weapon, and watching them from a distance. Prosecutors painted a picture of a calculated attack. They believed Brown, a loner with a history of violent behavior, had been stalking the teens, possibly targeting them at random. His notebook filled with obsessive, rambling entries hinted at delusions and violent fantasies about purification through fear. Brown's defense attorney, however, claimed he suffered from untreated mental illness and that the events of that night were the result of a psychotic break. They argued that he wasn't fully aware of his actions and deserved psychiatric evaluation. Still, the mountain of forensic evidence, DNA, ballistics, and his own journal entries suggested intent, not confusion. Prosecutors remain confident that justice will prevail when the case goes to trial, expected sometime in 2026. For the grieving families, the arrest brought some measure of relief, but not closure. Knowing who did it doesn't make it easier, one mother said in a tearful press conference. It just makes it real. We want justice and we want our children to be remembered for how they lived, not how they died. As of today, Thomas Brown remains in custody without bail, awaiting trial at the Gila County Detention Center. His case continues to draw national attention, with true crime followers, journalists, and online sleuths closely watching every development. The Tonto National Forest, once a beloved spot for weekend adventurers, now carries a quiet heaviness. The area where the murders occurred has been closed to the public indefinitely. A small wooden cross and a pair of hiking boots left by the families mark the spot, a somber tribute to 2 young lives cut short. It's a haunting reminder that even in the most beautiful places, darkness can hide in plain sight. And for those who followed the case from the beginning, one question still lingers. Why? Why did a simple camping trip end in such unimaginable horror? Perhaps only Thomas Brown knows the answer, and perhaps, one day, the truth will finally come out in court. Until then, the families wait, the forest heals, and the story of 2 best friends lost to the wilderness remains etched in Arizona's memory. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because every week, we uncover another real story of crime, mystery, and justice.